So lots of pros and cons then to Bitcoin. So is it a fad or is it part of our financial future? Let's try and clear this up, shall we, with William Mook, an entrepreneur and inventor who's been tracking Bitcoin markets. William, thanks very much for your time. Now, we have said there it has become mainstream, but myself included, and I'm sure many, many others are still trying to get our heads around this. Can you explain in a nutshell how this currency works?
Sure. There are special numbers. If you think of precious metals as giving value to coins, precious numbers give value to bitcoins. And with those numbers, you can do various tricks, like sending a counterfeit-proof record.
This is a physical Bitcoin.
Right. So, OK, that's in a nutshell. I won't press you anymore because I'm still a bit confused. But anyway, we've talked about it being safer than a normal currency. Is that really the case? Look at the prices just over the last week. It's an industry, it's a coin that is not regulated. How is this safer?
Because it's regulated by the nature of the numbers that we just discussed. Numerical properties control, just like gravity does not require a parliament to enforce it, so too the rules of numbers. And this was the sort of genius of the Satoshi Nakamoto's paper that said, hey, we have digital representations of pictures, we have digital representations of sounds, what would a digital representation of gold look like? And surprisingly, he came up with a set of numbers that had those features. And then people for the last 3 years or so worked on those sorts of things. And we are where the internet was before the web browser. So people are absolutely right. The wallet is a test system, and there are lots and hundreds of programmers I know working on improved wallets. And within the next 30 to 60 days, you'll see all sorts of interesting services come out. There are whenever there's money involved, there are crooks, but that will test the system, and what doesn't break Bitcoin will make it strong.
So, in your opinion, how long will it be before we do get a safe Bitcoin currency? Because, I mean, we still hear stories about hackers, don't we? Just last week, Mt. Gox Exchange, which deals with the majority of Bitcoin trades, came under an attack. So, I mean, it doesn't sound very safe.
They lost no money. And there was a loss of $12,500 just after Christmas from one individual. But in the United States, according to the FBI, there are 3 bank robberies a day, and they lose $7,500 each time. 3 times a day, 365 days a year, but people still use those banks.
But at least people with money in those banks do have a guarantee from that bank. Who guarantees my Bitcoins?
The numerical process guarantees your Bitcoins, and it can't be altered by politics, as the people in Cyprus found out.
OK. You touched on Cyprus there, and a lot of the arguments for Bitcoin suggest that this is good because it's an industry that isn't regulated. But the whole point about the financial crisis is that this was caused by unregulated banks.
Actually, it was planned. The IMF put out a white paper in November last year by Sherry Markov that said that because of the bad bets that the banks made, that they would have to have everyone take a haircut and lose about 40% of their deposits. So that's been out there. So it's been planned. It's not through unregulation. It's through regulatory capture by very powerful banks.
Okay. And just quickly, William, where do you see the Bitcoin in 5 years, 10 years? When will it be on my computer in my virtual wallet? I'm a skeptic. When will I have it?
You will have, Bitcoins are about $2.8 billion right now. Somebody spent $1.4 billion to cause the flash crash, and they lost that money. It was probably someone who had a lot of money to lose to see if they could produce this effect. And that money, those were buying opportunities for those who believe in Bitcoin, and so that money flowed into their pockets. I made a few dollars on this, and so did others. We need to have about $8 billion in circulation before retailers become interested in it. So we're about 90 days away from that. But there are some forward-thinking retailers that are looking toward accepting Bitcoin. And once merchants can, as the person in Germany was able to find out at the bar, as soon as you can trade your Bitcoins for products, then people will start to use them more. OK,
and just quickly give me a timeline. When will it be mainstream, Bitcoin?
90 days.
90 days. OK, thank you very much. William Mook, it's a Bitcoin tracker and entrepreneur from New Zealand.